Holy moly. The Pokemon hype machine has really kicked off now, hasn't it? Hello again, I am Blunty. And the Pokemon fanbase is typically spazzy right now, lots of loud overreactions in all extremes of emotion. I was streaming some Dauntless as the news broke, and every few minutes from there on in, for the rest of the stream, someone else popped in to ask me for my reaction on the news. As if I wouldn't make a video about it, come on. Now, some of the rumours panned out, some were complete crap, that's the way rumours go, and exactly as I predicted in a lead-up video, those people who allowed themselves to get carried away and emotionally invested to certain rumours were left disappointed or frustrated and started angrily screeching into the internet. Others, who latched onto what turned out to be solid rumours, are now stomping about like complete wankers, splooging smug all over the place in a crass and classless display of juvenile wankery, also missing the point of my video warning against getting too attached to rumours, regardless of how legit they may seem, regardless of whether or not you were right. In both cases, you just wind up being a screeching twat. Meanwhile, those of us who just watched with interest to see what panned out and what didn't were left with a few pleasant surprises, interesting reveals, and a chance to intelligently process what the truth wound up being. You know, the fun and smart way to actually enjoy a game reveal in a way where you can engage with actual people in a meaningful and interesting way. And that's my smug done with. So we're getting Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. The names were the most solidly backed up rumours, so no real shocker there. It's, in the words of Nintendo's press release that landed in my inbox, inspired by Pokemon Yellow. But from what we saw of gameplay in the reveal trailer, it seems more like a reboot or remake than the softly worded inspired by. Locations, paths, and characters are all pulled right out of the Generation 1 games, and judging by the unchanged, extremely familiar locations shown, it seems the rumour claiming that it was set in Kanto hundreds of years after the original games was probably complete bunk. Which is a pity, as, like I explained in my previous video, I found it interesting that we could have gone back to Kanto, but in a significantly changed map, and significantly changed environment that could have led to new forms of old Pokemon like we had with the Alolan form Pokemon in Sun and Moon. Now, I'm not sure I love the art style. I mean, it's super clean and bright and crispy and happy and joyful, which is everything a Pokemon game should be, and I really do like the overworld style. But I was personally hoping for a more matured anime-style character design like we got in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Instead, we have the wildly oversized heads and chubby limbs approaching almost chibi-style characters. I mean, it's hardly a huge deal, it's just a character design art style thing, and I'm just saying I would have liked character design more like they established in Gen 7. I really like what they did there. The one-handed playstyle is interesting, of course being a remake of a game with only one joypad and 4 buttons, including select and start, it's all you really need. It might feel a bit weird to play that way though. I mean, what am I going to do with my other hand while I play and stream this game? I better fill it with something. Perhaps I'll just get a few cases of beer and really start to work on developing a proper drinking problem. I don't like the whole stupid motion controller, wagglies, flailing, throwing Pokeball gimmick thing. Ugh, it's just... I really hope this is 100% optional regardless of what controllers you're using and how you're using them, one-handed, attached, whatever. Idiot waggle mechanics like this add nothing of worth to my experience, in my opinion. They almost never have in any game, with the exception of VR, obviously, where motion control is actually meaningful. I want it to be optional, and I want to be able to completely disable it in options. I can just turn it off completely, so I'm never even prompted about it to remind me that it's there in the first place. Fascinatingly, there's also a co-op mode. No idea how limited this is yet. In interviews after the announcement, they've been super vague about this so far, aside from saying that Player 2 plays a support role, whatever that means, and they want, for example, siblings in the same house to each play their own game on their own account, but have the ability to do the co-op thing to help each other out too. Many questions on this remain. Is it just for certain parts of the game? Can you drop in and drop out at any time? Can you play the whole game co-op? Does it only work locally? Or is it online as well? When the two of you throw Pokeballs at one Pokemon, do you both get the catch or only one of you? Many questions. But interesting twist nonetheless, and if it's just one Joy-Con each, is playing co-op with myself, with one in each hand a fun idea, or just the world's saddest cry of loneliness? We also saw that you can see wild Pokemon just roaming around. This is something I'd wished for, and I wonder if this mechanic will key into whatever the shiny hunting meta winds up being for this game. And then there's the Pokeball controller, seemingly with one button press being a top squeeze and one being the Pokeball button itself, which is also a thumbstick directional input. And of course, it has motion control. Sure, it's a gimmicky way to sell extra hardware at I'm sure an extraordinary markup to suck down even more money from people, but it's kinda super fun. I do worry it'll be a bit clumsy for input though. That thumb pad sure does look pretty sloppy. I will, of course, absolutely be buying one, though. It's a controller shaped like a Pokeball. I'll probably buy 6 of the damn things. The other thing it does is act as a kind of Poke Walker, which was a small screened pedometer type device that came out with Pokemon Silver and Gold, and which I loved to bits. What it does is let you carry a Pokemon with you into the real world. In this case, instead of a screen to interact with like they had on the Poke Walker, it's all lights and sounds. And probably some rumble and stuff too, I expect. And apparently, by walking around with it and interacting with it throughout the day, you'll earn some kind of in-game reward. My guess would be some kind of points to spend on some kind of in-game consumables, like hold items, or berries, or potions, or maybe costumes, I don't know. This and the waggle stuff, of course, is all to help attract kids, because kids are easily impressed by stupid, noisy, flailing, meaningless novelties. That's why PewDiePie got popular. Oh, burn! Wait, is he even still relevant? Oh, who cares? And you need to attract kids to this game to keep the franchise viable. I mean, after all, folks like me who've already been playing for 20 years are hardly the target demographic, are they? I mean, sure, we still love the games, but we're not who they're aiming at. So sure, I'll suffer the dumbing down and waggle garbage on board here. I mean, the more they can bring in new players and grow the base, the longer they can keep making and I can keep playing new Pokemon games as a high-functioning man-child. There was a reveal about something that I thought was completely out of the question, and I'm still a bit resentful about it, to be honest with you, because my own compulsive nature will make me play it again, and in fact I just reinstalled it on my goddamn phone. But Pokemon Go interactions. According to the press release, you'll be able to transfer Kanto Pokemon caught in Pokemon Go to the Switch games, but not back again apparently. There's also some kind of mystery gift mechanic too, from the Switch to the phone, including a tease of some as-yet secret special gift Pokemon. Even the Pokeball controller can act like the Pokemon Go Plus accessory. All in all, what interaction there is between these two things is all very basic, relatively meaningless interactivity meant to do what it did to me. Make us reinstall Pokemon Go, a game I and many others abandoned within like 6 weeks or so after launch because it was a thin and insipidly dull experience that got boring very quickly. But hell, I'll play it a little more, maybe catch a few things worth trading over. You win, Nintendo, you got me, well done, you goddamn predators. Other tantalizing teasers are rideable Pokemon, including flying on Charizard, surfing on Lapras, and cruising on Onix. Hopefully this all replaces the HM mechanics like they did in Sun and Moon, which was perhaps one of the fan-favourite quality of life improvements liked best from the Gen 7 games. Because it meant no more HM slaves and wasted move slots. There was also a patting mechanic type thing shown off, again with waggle controls, which all seems similar to what Pokemon Sun and Moon had. Also the ability to dress up, at the very least, Pikachu and Eevee, in little hats and costumes and things. These two title Pokemon, by the way, who also ride on your head in the overworld, which is even cuter than the follow mechanic introduced in Pokemon Yellow and then the Gen 3 games, and then never seen again, despite how much the fanbase wanted it. But it may also hint that I've been right in my guess that Pikachu and Eevee are evolution locked in these games, just like Pikachu was in Yellow, because their larger evolved forms are hardly hat ride friendly, are they? So either they don't evolve, or they stop being able to ride on your hats, or they mess up the scale of the Pokemon when they put the evolved forms on your hat. I don't know which option is worse, frankly. The games hit us November the 16th, which is also pretty much exactly what I've been predicting. But that hardly makes me Nostradamian in my foresight. It's always around that time of year for core Pokemon games to release, just in time to sell hardware to play it on for Christmas. And if they also do a special edition Nintendo Switch, much like they usually did with Game Boy, DS, and 3DS Pokemon launches, I will be buying a second Switch too, because I'm a sucker. And of course, to try and stop the all-too-loud, rabid idiot side of the fanbase who would have, and despite all this still are, freaking out like complete twats that the long-anticipated Nintendo Switch Pokemon game is nothing more than a Gen 1 remake, Nintendo and Game Freak have also made it very, very clear that next year we'll be getting a brand new core RPG Pokemon game. And that'll be the one most of us have been holding out for so many years for. A truly big deal, fresh from the ground up evolution of the franchise on significantly more powerful hardware than it's ever had before. My theory is Nintendo wanted that new title out this year, but Game Freak needed more time for their first non-handheld only Pokemon game. Game Freak are on record as being very, very reticent to move away from handheld only, by the way. So perhaps this easier to produce yellow remake was squeezed out relatively quickly to give them a whole extra year to really put some polish on the fancy all-new game. It is a small shame these games aren't all new and all shiny, and clearly they're not taking full advantage of the power of the Switch. But that said, prettied up remakes, they do look super nice. And as much as some of the barely post-pubescent side of the fanbase screech about it, I like the idea of revisiting Kanto. And I have been back there many, many more times than most of they have. I still hope Johto comes along for the ride too, perhaps as post-game content, perhaps as DLC, and perhaps they're saving that reveal to fuel the hype train closer to launch. It'd be nice, because Kanto is a pretty small map for a Switch game. Maybe they fiddled with the scale, maybe not. Maybe there's a ton more stuff fed into the existing map with all the extra fidelity, maybe not. That's a wait-and-see thing, I'm sure we'll find out before launch. But for me, overall, right now, the reaction is joyful but not ecstatic, satisfied but not blown away, eager but not fully fulfilled. I look forward to the further reveals from the hype machine as we head towards November launch, and yes, of course I'll be there day one. And yes, I'll be streaming my playthrough on Twitch. Oh, and there's also a new Pokemon game released on Switch the same day as the announcement. It's out right now worldwide, but it is a POS free-to-start, pay-to-play piece of bullcrap shovelware lazy mobile phone game port, so let's just ignore that embarrassing garbage and pretend it doesn't exist and just wait for the real games. Thanks for watching, I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.